previous parts.
Special tool or be disassembled. So type of a coolant and camshaft moment of this cylinder 4 with assembling looking like left to right. Push.
Install valve seals in
The gasket, cylinder head. First, all other bolts. So, add some oil, assembly everything else. Turbo back in place. GR cooler back in place. And all this time, you can tight clamps. Cover back in place. Tightens have different numbers, have those numbers. Of cover gasket throw away all intake manifold of the turbo will burn them.
Blow plugs installation.
installation of the injectors.
Spray it with drop washer in those bolts of tight nuts.
Injector seal new.
As always, through the holes in the sprocket, you can see if the oil seal of the crankshaft is leaking. If it leaks, just remove timing belt and sealing flange, and if you need to replace oil pump belt, you need to remove also oil pan. And it's 19mm socket to undo bolt of the oil sump and drain oil. Three bigger bolts from gearbox side, 16 socket, and behind. And also there is a gap in the flywheel that can help you to undo these two rear bolts of the oil sump. These two bolts. If you have this kind of extension, it will be easier to undo those two bolts from the flywheel side, because socket can move. If you set up timing belt in TDC position, all markings are aligned, and you rotate a little bit further clockwise. And you will see this type of gap in the flywheel. To undo those two bolts easily. And you can do it with 5mm hex, and all of these bolts are 10mm socket. And on this engine there's no need to smash oil pan with hammer to take it off, because there are some special spots between oil pan and engine block where you can easily insert flat blade screwdriver or something similar and easily separate oil pan from the engine block. Undo but don't remove at least two bolts from both sides of the oil pan. Leave them half unscrewed, so when you pry bar, oil pan will not fall on your head. And sometimes this plastic thing is falling off, and it gets in the way to remove easily oil pan. And this sucks. And within 1 minute you will know how to fix this in a really easy way. And this is the gap in the flywheel that can help you to undo rear bolts of the oil pan. And now you can see oil pump belt. You can do some quick inspection of this belt and replace it if you need. To replace it, all that's left to remove is timing belt and crankshaft sealing flange. And oil pump belt have original markings on it, VW, which means that this is original belt, and this will be the first replacement of this belt on this engine. 200k on it, and still not very much damaged, but to prevent any damage in the future, it's better to replace it. So to avoid this suddenly fall off the plastic, you can heat it up right here, this ring, to expand. Maybe more. And here you go. First, before you remove timing belt, undo crankshaft bolt, crankshaft sprocket bolt. There is a place in the gearbox where you can block flywheel with screwdriver or something else and unscrew that bolt. Another way to undo this bolt is simply to counterhold crankshaft gear with special tool. And some people are using impact wrench and locking tool to undo this bolt. Well, the thing is that I make a decision to change oil pump belt right after installing new timing belt. And that installation was looking something like this. So first I rotate engine clockwise to set up timing marks. And this is alignment for the high pressure pump. And this one is for the camshaft. And to lock these two sprockets, you can use special tool from the set or 6mm drill bit. And you need this special tool for the crankshaft sprocket or only paint marker if you're not supposed to undo sprockets of the high pressure pump and camshaft. Now we will undo sprockets of the high pressure pump and camshaft. Then untie tensioner and remove timing belt. Insert this locking pin inside of the tensioner pulley and rotate tensioner clockwise until it's stopped. Then tie the nut. It will be looking just like that. Now you can install timing belt easily, and you can follow this installation order. Untie nut and remove locking tool from the tensioner. Rotate tensioner until pointer align with the center of the notch. Then counterhold and tight bolts of the camshaft sprocket and tight nuts of the high pressure pump sprocket. Remove all locking tools and then rotate engine clockwise 2 times and then check timing marks once again, and that's all. So basically now I don't want to undo and adjust those sprockets and timing once again because everything was aligned just perfectly. I will do only this. I set all timing marks, lock the fuel pump and camshaft sprocket using 6mm drill bit, put some paint marking on the belt just in case, and to prevent belt from slipping off, I additionally secure it with 6mm hex K and on the camshaft sprocket with paper clamp. Then undo tensioner and remove belt from the crankshaft sprocket. So upper part of the timing belt stays on the sprockets of the camshaft and high pressure pump, and belt removed only from the crankshaft sprocket. Original Kako. Flat blade screwdriver. and removal. And it's not very elastic anymore, but I can't see any cracks yet. And number. New one is more elastic, as you can see. Of course, it will be more elastic than this one. Maybe you should install chain kit instead of this belt, but anyway. So first you install on the oil pump sprocket and then on the crankshaft. And on the sprocket you can see some imprint from the old belt, so you can install new belt on the same spot. And that's the way. And assembly everything else. And if you need to remove or replace oil pump, you need also to replace oil seal and bolts. Surface of the crankshaft and engine block must be clean and degreased before installation of the crankshaft sealing flange. And since it's a PTFE oil seal, it doesn't need to be lubricated, so just don't do it.
The PTFE oil seal must be installed dry.
In order to guarantee that the PTFE oil seal will optimally perform its function, a minimum 4 hours should pass after assembly and before the shaft is moved or rotated.
And install new sealing flange. Just everything must be clean. And you install it nice and easy. Don't rush. And everything will be fine. Clean oil pan and apply sealant. I will apply a little bit extra bit of sealant from the flywheel side. And one more thing, if you're not supposed to replace sealing flange, then you need to apply some bigger bit of sealant in this area on the front part of the oil sump. And if you are replacing sealing flange of the crankshaft, applying of sealant will be looking like this.
It's better to install oil sump within 5 minutes after applying the sealant.
And once again, you can increase gap in this mount ring up to 2.5–3 millimeters. So this plastic shield will sit in its place and it won't fall down over and over again while you've been installing oil sump. I applied some additional bit of sealant in these spots where the sealing flanges are connected with engine block to be sure that nothing will be leaking.
Of course, the surface of the engine block must be cleaned before installing the oil pan.
Maybe it's better to start installing oil pan from the front of the engine, because place between bracket of the EC compressor and oil pan have a very small spacing. So pass this place slowly, do not scratch sealant on the surface of the oil pan. That's it, tighten it up. And you probably noticed that workshop manual shows not quite diagonal tightening sequence of the oil sump bolts. They are numbered in one direction, when diagonal sequence of tightening should be looking more like this. First, tighten main bolts with 5 Nm in diagonal sequence, working from center outwards. Then tighten those bigger bolts from the gearbox side with 40 Nm. And finally, tighten main bolts in diagonal sequence with 13 Nm, working from center outwards.
After fitting oil sump, the sealant must dry approximately 30 minutes, but then, and only then, fill the engine with engine oil. Engine oil capacity approximately 4.7 liters and dry fill is approximately 5.7 to 6 liters. Sealant totally cured after 24 hours.
If washer of the drain bolt of the oil sump is looking like this, then maybe it's better to replace this bolt with new one. And torque it down with 30 Nm. Sure that the belt is in place. And now you can put back on timing belt on the crankshaft sprocket. And look what you've done. Okay. And here. Okay. Special tool. Okay. Remove all pins and locking tools and make a tension on the belt. Okay. And after you make tension on the belt and tighten the tensioner roller, you can tighten the bolt. And this is the time of the year when this belt was produced, and it's 2018. So maybe it's time to replace it.